Hello and a very warm welcome to all. It's time for Game On and I'm your host Meha Bharadwaj-Alter. The 5-match T20I series began with West Indies exposing some of India's weaknesses as the visitors lost the first game by 4 runs. Looking good to wrap the game, needing 37 runs in 5 overs with 6 wickets in hand, India collapsed, unable to chase down a target of 150. Now, to put it in context, this is not the biggest loss and India will not lose any sleep over it, but it made you wonder if some decisions could have been different. There was, of course, a perfect debut for Tilak Varma, the lone bright spark in this match for India. We will discuss him and much more. Let's introduce our guests here on the show, 2 gentlemen who take their weekend cricket very seriously and one has a match to play after this show. So, won't be surprised if Jamie Alter is trying to figure out his bowling variations while the match is on. Jamie Alter will join us on the show. Chetan Narula is here. If you could just show our guests so that we can introduce them. Chetan Narula will also join us on the show. But before I get to my guests, there we have it. So, Chetan's here. I don't know where Jamie is. Okay, Jamie is through, I'm being told. And why I'm I am waiting for both of them is because I talked about this weekend cricket. So, Jamie, I know has a match today. Chetan, are you continuing with your weekend cricket?
Well, I'll be talking a lot of cricket. I have a discussion on BCCI's bilateral media cricket rights on Twitter. I have another show after that, and today I have to cook dinner for my mom. So, not so much cricket this weekend, but yeah, otherwise, well, every weekend is with cricket, yes.
Well, cooking dinner for your mom trumps cricket, playing cricket any day or talking about cricket any day. Okay, but let's first now talk about the match. West Indies won the toss and opted to bat first on a slow pitch in Trinidad. Nicholas Pooran, fresh off a 100 in MLC final along with Brandon King, got off to a quick start, taking the host to 54 in the power play. Once Pooran was out for 41, Captain Rovman Powell took on the responsibility of taking West Indies to a good total, scoring 48 of just 32 balls. Chasing 150 then for victory, Indian openers didn't get off to a good start. Both Ishan Kishan and Shubman Gill were dismissed in the power play itself. Gill stumped for 3 of 9 deliveries while Kishan was caught at mid-on. Now, in the very next over, what we saw was another good debut on this tour as Tilak Varma. He got off the mark with a huge 6 of his second delivery in international cricket and followed it up with another 6. India looked good in the chase up till that moment, but lost 2 wickets in the 16th over. First of Hardik Pandya and then Sanju Samson's run out. Jason Holder, he bowled a double wicket maiden. That was the 16th over. India needed 10 runs in the last over, but the Indian tail was unable to take the team over the line. Let's get straight into the conversation. And this loss may not be a really big loss, guys. We know this. But having said that, this is against the West Indies, and somehow you feel like India could have been much better. Jamie, let's begin with you, and then I'll come to Chetan.
Yeah, they definitely could have been better. I think keeping West Indies to 149 and setting themselves a target of 150. India should have won that match from there because they weren't poor all throughout. I'm talking about the chase. The chase did not get off to the best of starts, and I'm sure we'll discuss that as the show goes on. But it was not all gloom and doom. I just think Suryakumar Yadav struggling to get off the mark earlier, slightly getting bogged down. But again, the shot he played, walking out any other day, a foot, 2 feet away from the catcher Hetmeyer, and that could have gone to the 4 for a 4. And we could have seen Suryakumar Yadav finishing off that match, Sanju Samson's run out, I think that was also a very critical point. It's just a series of ifs and starts when you look at that scorecard. But, I still have India firmly placed to win this series because it's not a T20 World Cup year. There's still 11 and a half months to go. Not all gloom and doom. Maybe if they lose the next 2, we can get a bit worried. But seeing the kind of faces that are in this squad, the squad that's in the Ireland's series and then the squad for the Asian Games. Still a long way to go. I'm personally not too rattled by this loss.
Okay, how do you think Hardik Pandya will be seeing this loss? Just a blip, minor blip in what is, I mean, a 5-match series. So you still have 4 matches left, or will this be a loss that'll be difficult to digest for Hardik Pandya?
No, I think he'll take it in his stride, Meha. I think it's just the first match of the 5-match series. I think he has his brief that he has to prepare a team for the T20 World Cup next year, and that is going to happen in the West Indies. And we know West Indies are a very different animal when it comes to T20 format, and especially playing at home, they will be very, very strong. So I don't think it's going to be an easy series for India, despite the fact that they are auditioning so many people, not only for the T20 World Cup next year, but also for the ODI World Cup this year. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Even the playing 11 was a kind of a mixed bag last night because, I mean, I don't think India will play playing 11 next year in the West Indies at the T20 World Cup with only 7 batsmen. I mean, the batting finished at 7. So it was so very weird, the team selection. And I, for one, am struggling to put down this loss. Is it the run-up to the T20 World Cup next year, or is it the run-up to the ODI World Cup this year? So I'm not sure which category this loss qualifies as, but overall this is a loss. We are 1-0 down, and time to pull up some socks.
Okay, now this is what Hardik Pandya had to say after the loss. He said that, and we're going to put that quote up on your screens, because both Chetan and Jamie have spoken about selection and the playing 11. He says, we're right in the chase. We made some errors which cost us, but it's fine. A young team will make mistakes. Throughout the game, we were in control. I've always believed that in T20 cricket, if you lose wickets, it becomes difficult to chase down a total. When we lost a couple of wickets in a row, it costs us. The bowling combination, he says, of 3 spinners was down to the conditions. We wanted Yuzi and Kuldeep to play together, and Akshar brings batting. For Mukesh to have these 2 weeks and make his debut was fantastic. Very pleasing to see the way Tilak Varma started his innings. Now, we're going to have a special segment on Tilak Varma a little later on the show, but let's stick with India's batting and talk about, Chetan, you said about whether they're looking at this series with an eye to the World Cup next year, or is it the World Cup this year? Because there are some players auditioning for the World Cup this year. Case in point, Sanju Samson, Suryakumar Yadav as well. But Jamie, the openers themselves, to have an Ishan Kishan, open in this, should they have gone in with Yashasvi Jaiswal, or is this again like that series where they want to keep trying Ishan Kishan, just making sure that he gets enough games? I can't seem to figure out the thinking behind why have Ishan Kishan as your opener.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, right? When it comes to what are Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid thinking, I think all of us here, whenever we join, are sort of at a lack of words. See, like I said earlier, if Ishan Kishan is shaping up to be your first or second wicketkeeper, and let's face it, he's not going to be third, he'll either be number 1 for the World Cup or he'll be number 2 for the World Cup. If he is, then I don't think there's too much to be gained by playing him across all 5 T20Is. I would have much rather have seen Yashasvi Jaiswal make his debut, because again, is this a selection for next year's T20 World Cup, or is this, an re-audition or a firming up of certain players for the one-day World Cup? I would like to say it's probably 80% next year and 20% this year. And looking at that, I would have liked to see Jaiswal. Now, that's not to say, Meha, that he's not going to make his debut in the next match or in the 4 to come. But again, and I know that, when you look at the way Ishan Kishan got out, the way that Gill got out, you can say what's going on. But again, that is the way that Ishan Kishan plays. So you have to look at the question, why was he picked? And then how did he get out? This is the same kind of way he's batted in the 3 one-days. The dot balls add up. He does charge down. He does swipe, but he's got 350. So yesterday, slightly miscued. Maybe the ball stopped on him. Maybe he rushed out. The fielder at mid-on took the catch. Yeah. I'm not going to be too critical of his performance on the day, because that's how he plays. And these kind of players, we know it's a high-risk game, always looking for boundaries, because, like mentioned before, he's not a good rotator of strike. The dot balls in Ishan Kishan's one-day innings and T20 innings are far too good for anyone's liking. But it's that rare ability to hit boundaries at will that often adds up to a much better strike rate and, of course, more runs. Yes, I would have liked to see Jaiswal, but I totally understand why Ishan Kishan opened.
Would you have wanted to see Jaiswal as well, Chetan?
Definitely. I mean, if you're planning for the next year's T20 World Cup, then definitely Yashasvi Jaiswal is in my books to open the innings. But again, mixed signals, Meha. On the one hand, you did not pick Yashasvi Jaiswal because you want to continue with Shubman Gill and Ishan Kishan, give them more, playing time ahead of the ODI World Cup. Because Yashasvi Jaiswal can play in Ireland, he can play in the Asian Games, so he's going to get his debut cap over there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're picking Tilak Varma and batting him at number 4, and you're batting Sanju Samson at number 6. Sanju Samson is not going to bat at number 6, whether it's this year's World Cup or the next year's World Cup, because that would be another nonsensical decision. So, just like Jamie said, here you can add 2 more names to Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid. What is Hardik Pandya thinking? What is Ajit Agarkar thinking? What is anybody really thinking? How does Sanju Samson figure at number 6 in the T20 lineup? And, it's baffling. I mean, I still want to praise Tilak Varma, and I will when we get to that particular segment,
Yes.
but it's just kind of baffling at the moment.
Okay, 150, 149 is what West Indies scored. On that track, was that a good total, Jamie? Or yes, West Indies got off to a very good start. Robman Powell then, played a very good innings. But overall, what did you make of that total? And how much would that be about Indians not being able to utilize the conditions as well as West Indies did?
I think 149, when you look at the start that Brandon King gave, and then you look at the way that, the way that Nicholas Pooran has been batting, this has been the template now for the last, 8, 9, 10 months. If the first ball is there to be hit, you go hit it. It's worked a lot. It's failed a couple of times in the IPL. He was out first ball. When you look at the fact that he was striking the ball so good, and even Robman Powell, to get those 3 guys before they actually did big damage, I think is really, really good. So India overall, I would give them probably 8 out of 10 for their bowling. I know Mukesh Kumar ends up being a bit of a sore point for us here. I'm surprised that they gave him a debut. 3 overs, 24 runs, not quite what you want to see. Arshdeep didn't start out well, but the guy did exactly what we've come to expect of him.
Yeah.
Runs were decent. The economy was decent given the conditions. He got 2 wickets. Akshay Patel. Now, here's one thing which I want to bring up, and I love to hear what Chetan has to say. Look at the selection, okay? India perhaps realized the 3 spinners were required on the day. Akshay Patel didn't work out, but he's the only spinner you have who can come in and bowl in the power play. It's a risk. So you look at 2 overs, none for 22, you can be like, yaar, iska to fir se kharab din tha. But again, bowling inside the power play, it's a risk. Now, Chahal bowled very, very well. Lucky to get the wicket of Kyle Myers because the batsman didn't review.
Yeah.
And Kuldeep did what's expected. What did West Indies do? They only picked Akil Hussain. Had they been smarter and picked a second spinner, they would have won this match by a far bigger margin than 4 runs, So selection questions on both sides. I think India were right in picking 3 spinners. On the day, it didn't work out. They lost this match, Maya, not because of their bowlers. They lost this match because the batting collectively didn't stand out. When your debutant gets a 39 at a strike rate of 175 odd, and your big names are equally striking at 100, something went wrong with the batting.
Did you think that maybe Yuzvendra Chahal could have been brought in for another over, Chetan? I mean, he got 2 wickets, and then Hardik Pandya waited till the 13th over, I think, to bring him back to bowl. Do you think that's one place where he didn't make the right decision?
Absolutely. I mean, he's picked up 2 wickets. Yes, he's given away a few runs, giving away, 8-ish something per over in his 3 overs. But he's picked up those 2 wickets. That's the problem when you play 3 spinners. You're spoiled for choice, and Kuldeep was bowling well. His economy was pretty decent. He was not giving away too many runs. Akshar, after those 2 overs, yes, like Jamie said, bowling in the power play is never easy. So after those 2 overs, he was never going to come back to bowl. So it's kind of a hard balance, tough balance really. He got those, that 5th bowler quota, he got it out of the way. Hardik Pandya got it out of the way. He saw that the Pacers were doing decently well. The reason why the Pacers did better was it was kind of a 2-paced wicket. And I think, when you're bowling with that medium pace and mixing it up with your off-cutters, etc., it gets very difficult for batsmen to get it away. And I think that was the reason why West Indies won the toss and chose to bat, because this was the same pitch on which the last ODI was played. So technically this was yes, West Indies didn't bat 50 overs in the ODI, but technically this was 100, 120 odd overs old pitch. So it was bound to be slow. So 149 that way, very good score from West Indies. As Jamie said, very shallow batting. Akshar Patel at number 7. Akshar Patel has been hung out to dry in this on this tour. Batting at number 4 in the ODI served no purpose. Batting at number 7 in this T20 served no purpose. Bowling 2 overs in the power play. He's been hung out to dry. I just hope there is another fan club like the Sanju Samson fan club, and they ask for justice for Akshar Patel on Twitter as well.
But Sanju Samson's fan club is doing nobody any favor. Sanju Samson's not helping his fan club. Sanju Samson is now being given opportunities, and there's not one that we've seen so far, except of course the third ODI, where he's really gone out and said, you know what, you've got to put me in that World Cup squad. But there is one player who had an absolutely brilliant debut, and making his international debut after a strong IPL season for Mumbai Indians, 20-year-old Tilak Varma. He top scored out of a sorry looking Indian scorecard of 145 for 9 with 39 of 22 balls. Highest strike rate on either side, West Indies and India, where the next highest contribution for India was 21. The left-hander hit 3 sixes and 2 fours to lead India's chase of 150. But his dismissal of the last ball of the 11th over saw things spiral out of hand on a tough pitch to bat on. Varma showcased the kind of shots which won him widespread acclaim as an India under-19 player, as well as over the last 2 seasons for Mumbai Indians in the IPL. Now, while he's not part of India's ODI plans just yet, Varma is part of the T20 squad for Ireland tour later this month, as well as the Asian Games squad in September. All indication that he is part of India's road to the 2024 T20 World Cup. How impressed were you by Tilak Varma? Jamie?
Very, very good. And you rightly mentioned that, I think he's 22, if I'm not mistaken. This is a batsman who's, like I keep saying, he's ticked all the right boxes. Under 19, many players may have better than him, have always had this knack of doing well at the under 19 level. But he's managed to translate that into a good T20I career at the state level, of course, the IPL. And not just one season, but even last season, he looked very, very good. So it's just a continuation of very, very talented, very, very smart batting. And also, very good to see that he didn't really change the template which has got him into this team when it comes to T20 cricket. He's got this great knack of using his crease, going back, picking up length. This shot, we've seen him do this for Mumbai Indians now for a couple of years. And he played those kind of shots, right? 3 sixes, 2 twos. And I go back to on a kind of, Chetan used the word two-pace, I believe, on that two-pace kind of wicket, where Ishan Kishan and Gill had strike rates, 60 and 30 something. And then the three, by this team standard, the 3 most experienced batsmen age-wise, Sky, Hardik Pandya and Sanju Samson, all had identical strike rates of 100. On that pitch, in that situation, for a debutant of 22 to go long at 177, outstanding. And again, had he not mistimed that one of his favorite shots, he also could have finished the match off. So definitely one for the future. He's 22, I think, 10, 12 years. So kahin nahi gaye iske. But again, let's not rush into making too many predictions. Let's not. A lot of comments have already come on Twitter. Ke isko one day mein dalo. Nahi, Jaiswal or Tilak Varma, they're not playing the one-day World Cup right now. They have a long way to go. They should be seen as your 2 prime batsmen for Mission 2024, if I can use a cliche. So very, very good innings from him.
Chetan, we've already seen what he can do in T20s, in the IPL, the way he plays. But I keep coming back to these players making their debuts with absolute fearlessness. And I don't know what one can attribute that to. Is it fearlessness of youth, or is it just the generation? Or is it the kind of cricket that they are now wanting to play, but to get off the mark with a 6, and the kind of 6 that he hit? Alzari Joseph's not an easy bowler to hit a 6 to in international cricket straight away. But there he was, back-to-back 6s. What is it? What is it about these young players and this complete fearlessness?
And I'll tell you, Meha, Alzari Joseph's face was like, he was really stunned with those sixes, wasn't he? I mean, he was really stunned. Oh, my short ball has been pulled away for 6.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant shot to get off the mark. I think I'm not going to forget that shot very, very quickly. Talking about the fearlessness, I mean, this is I think, a byproduct of the IPL. On the IPL arena, they get to play with international cricketers with vast experience and probably even bigger, legacies, if you can say so. And, you're playing against Brett Lee and Ricky Ponting. I'm talking about the earlier years, Jack Callis. You're rubbing shoulders with Sachin Tendulkar, Virendra Sehwag, and now you look at it, MS Dhoni, who's half of these kids, how old are they? That's how much experience MS Dhoni has. Virat Kohli, the experience he has, or a Jasprit Bumrah, or a Rohit Sharma, even Hardik Pandya for that matter. I mean, to rub shoulders with these guys, to learn from the guys before them who were sitting on the bench, coaching them, mentoring them, that's just marvelous. And the thing that is the best about the IPL is it prepares you in proper match situations. I mean, these kind of situations that Tilak Varma is facing on international cricket, he's faced so many times already in the IPL and against the best the world has to offer.
Yeah.
So obviously he's going to be I've done this 100 times. It doesn't matter. It's international cricket or IPL cricket. I have played Alzari Joseph twice in this IPL alone. So there's nothing new that he's bowling short to me. I can pull it. It's a two-pace wicket. It's in my arc. I'll pull it. I'll get the six. So that mentality, it's just brilliant to watch. And while, yes, we can pick 3 IPL teams, 3 T20 teams or 3 ODI teams, 3 Indian teams to play, maybe they all won't win, as we can see from the experimentation, but they are all ready-made, at least, to go and play on the international level. So it was brilliant to watch Tilak Varma. This guy can bat at 3, 4 and 5, depending upon the requirements of the team, depending upon the experimentation. He's a fabulous player. Like Jamie said, 10-12 saal kahin nahi gaye. But again, T20 cricket is a fast-moving thing. You never know. Let's stay in the present, but he's going to be very, very crucial for India going ahead for the T20 World Cup.
And I like the fact that he was given an opportunity. We weren't sure whether he would have been given a debut, but he was. Now, this is what his captain Hardik Pandya had to say about Tilak Varma's innings, and we're going to put that quote up. Let's put that quote up of the captain, Indian captain Hardik Pandya, and this is what he has to say. Very pleasing to see the way Tilak Varma started his innings. Not a bad way to start your international cricket, with a couple of sixes. And then he goes on to say, you can see the confidence and the fearlessness they have. Going forward, they are going to do wonders for India. And there's a wonderful moment when he was being given the cap by Hardik Pandya. He says, "Kuch alag nahi karna hai." So, you're already here. This is what dreams are made of. You've already reached here. Just keep doing what you've been doing and you'll end up doing well. That's Hardik Pandya and his belief in Tilak Varma. There's also Arshdeep Singh. He had something to say about his fellow teammate on his debut. Let's put that up as well. And then we'll also get Tilak Varma's quote as well. He says he played few beautiful shots, and I think he should always back his game, and in the future he'll help team win a lot of matches. Now, you're talking about how good he's been, and he looks like he is possibly going to be playing, for a long time. This is what he had to say about his innings and what he is expecting from here on. He's already thinking about the World Cup, guys. He's written, from childhood, it's been my goal to win India the World Cup. In my mind, I always think about ways how to win the World Cup. He says that I keep visualizing every day that I will go and bat in this number and win World Cups. Now I got the India jersey and I used to visualize that. Now it has come true. So I feel that moment of winning World Cup will also come soon. This is a great feeling. I can't express it. Everyone asks me, but I'm just feeling really happy and proud. So taking it step by step, let's see how it happens. This is fantastic. आपने अभी debut किया है and now you've already said that I'm thinking of winning the World Cup. I know, Jamie, of course, the journey is going to be very different for him. But a lot of players, first of all, talk about visualization. I remember there are so many players. I remember Saurav Ganguly said this to me, that he would visualize how he's going to go out and bat, and now he's talking about it. But just looking at him, what are you expecting? You said that, he's going to be playing much more, but in terms of getting into the World Cup squad, I know it's too early, but he's got everything that one needs, right, to be in that middle order for India.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that if he stays fit, Tilak Varma is going to be part of India's World Cup squad, T20 World Cup squad next year. And a very good sign, that he's doing this not just on debut, but the way he's doing it. He has another 4 opportunities here. At the last 2 matches are in Florida, also one of the venues for the T20 World Cup next year, if nothing changes. So he's scoring runs. I know, again, 1 match, let's not jump the gun, but I expect him to have a good series. If he gets runs in these 5 matches, when he returns 11 months from now, he'll be able to pull back on those, fall back on those muscle memory, as we say, and have the experience. Like we mentioned already, he's going to Ireland, he's going to the Asian Games. So he seems very much like a young, dynamic player who the selectors and the team management, we hope, want to play over the next 12 months and then beyond. And regarding his comment, about the World Cup, it's good. At least he's been given the space to say it. You probably won't see many Indian debutants, past or future, giving comments like this, when they've only played 1 match. So good for him that he's been given that space to do well. And let's hope that he lives up to the potential, because like we've discussed here on this show, he's ticked all the boxes to get here. So many more to come.
You wanted to add something?
Yeah, the thing is, he scored 39 of 22 balls. When he hit those 2 sixes, I was just thinking something. It's about getting that opportunity. He got an opportunity at number 4. Now we are talking about whether he will be, he scored those 39 of 22, strike rate, talking big. He wants to, win the World Cup for India. Now we're discussing whether he'll get the opportunity for the T20 World Cup. So basically now he's entered himself into the conversation for a place in the T20 squad. Now he scored those runs, top scorer, top strike rate. So he's definitely going to play the next match and the next match and the next match. So he's getting those few games that are coming up. And nowadays, a lot of T20s are going, coming up very quickly. There's going to be the Island Series, the Asian Games, where he's definitely going to play, bat at probably 3 or 4. And I was just comparing it with Sanju Samson. Why isn't he talked about in the same breath? Why doesn't he say, okay, you know what, I want to score those big runs and, I want to win the World Cup? He was part of India's limited over squad in 2014. I was in England and he was included in 2014 as, he was not going to play, but he had done well in the IPL and he was brought into the Indian squad कि चलो feel दे देते हैं लड़के को पता हो चलेगा कि Indian team के साथ seniors के साथ रह के कैसा feel होता है. Obviously, it took a while for him to get the international cap. And while Tilak Varma was batting, I was looking at Sanju Samson's figures, what he's done in T20 cricket. It took him 11 innings, 11 T20I innings, spread across, but took him 11 T20I innings to score 39. He never crossed 30 in any of the 10 innings before he scored 39 in his 11th inning. And people complain, कि उसको ढंग से उसको spot नहीं देते, उसको नहीं देते. Out of those 10 innings, he batted at number 3 and number 4 in 7. 7 of them. So somewhere, Sanju Samson is also to blame for the lack of opportunities that are. You're not going to get a string of 5-6 matches. There are just so many players around. You're going to get that one opportunity. You score big. That's how you get the second opportunity. That's how you get the third opportunity. So Tilak Varma has now guaranteed himself maybe 2 or 3 more opportunities because he scored these runs on his first attempt. If you're going to take 11 attempts to score 39 runs, God help you.
Yeah, I mean, you look back on that match, Jamie. India needed what? 37 runs in the last 5 overs. You have 6 wickets. You have Hardik Pandya and Sanju Samson at the crease. If you're not able to complete that, finish that, cross over the line, that there is something wrong.
Absolutely. And I think just to pick up from where Chetan left off, if I'm not mistaken, he's played maybe 19 or 20 T20Is max. Yes, that the career started in 2015 in that Zimbabwe tour, but he's been given enough opportunities. I think it's 18 or 19 matches. And he took 11 innings to get to 39, but after that 39, he only has 150 to show for. And like Chetan said, he's got prime opportunities in the 11 to bat, 3, 4. So if you've invested 18, 19 T20Is on someone, and they only got 150. I think there's not much to be gauged by by playing Sanju Samson more often. Where the numbers are much better, like I keep saying, in a shorter span of time, is in the ODI squad, right? Why are you playing two keeper batsmen in the same 11? You should have given this chance to Yashasvi Jaiswal, right? Again, is this like a second chance for Sanju? Ki shayad tu World Cup khelega. If it is, then I think that's not the right approach, right? You need to separate Sanju Samson, the T20I batsman, from Sanju Samson, the one-day batsman, right? Chetan rightly said he bats at number 6, and he's not going to bat at number 6 foreseeably in the one-day team or in the T20 team. So it just goes back to the time has come to not select Sanju Samson for T20Is. Whatever anyone in the selection committee, in the team thinks of it, we know he's never going to play Test cricket. Whatever you see of him as useful, just spend time trying him in one day. There's nothing to be gained when you've got 19-20 matches and you've got 150. Not happening.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They are auditioning him for the ODI World Cup by playing him in this T20I World Cup. That's what seems to be the problem, because he wasn't able to be impressive enough in the ODIs. If only he'd scored 100 that Chetan keeps referring to in the last ODI.
Exactly. Whose fault is that? He had 20 more overs to bat and he wants to hit a fifth. Chakke maar lo bhai tum, jao. We would not be having this conversation. We would not be having this conversation. And yesterday, of course, the news has come that KL Rahul might be back for the Asia Cup. So there it is. There you are. So he's going to watch it on television just like us.
I was speaking to somebody who said that he will be playing the Asia Cup. Very, very confident about KL Rahul playing the Asia Cup. But okay, let's also then talk about trying to play Yuzvendra Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav together. It just elongates the tail, guys. That's just the way it is. And that was a huge problem as well yesterday. One of the reasons why they couldn't cross the line. Because, and there was a bit of, there was a comedy of errors where they didn't want Yuzvendra Chahal to come in and bat in the last over. But just, that is also another problem. So when you have Kuldeep Yadav and Yuzvendra Chahal, and if you want to play them together, you just know both of them cannot bat very well. Jamie?
Yeah, look, I think we discussed this, was it at this show? I don't know, all the lines get blurred when Chetan and I are on these shows. It was one of the shows this week, and we're talking about how Kuldeep Yadav and Chahal will not be reunited or should not be reunited because the game has changed, right? Now, you mentioned 7 batsmen here, but I know Kuldeep Yadav has got first class hundreds and he's got a 40 odd in his most recent test match in Bangladesh. But when you have Kuldeep, Arshdeep, Chahal and Mukesh rounding off your 11, that's just not optimum in any white ball format, right? Yes, Akshar Patel was picked probably more for his batting as well. It didn't work yesterday, but Akshar Patel, like Chetan said, has been hung out to dry because his white ball stats have been very impressive in the last 15 months. So he's done everything to deserve. Of course, this is because Jadeja was not around for a long time, but in his given chances, probably 90% he's done the job. But if these 4 guys are there, this is why I think the game has moved on, and where India is still playing catch up is playing 2 specialist pace bowlers and 2 specialist spin bowlers. These guys cannot bat. It's going to be problematic. Yes, 3 spinners worked in those conditions. They did the job. Why you didn't bowl Chahal a 4th over is something he's going to have to be answerable for. But these 4 guys in a close match we saw yesterday, inse nahi ho paega. You need to have more all-rounders. And there's no dearth of all-rounders, right? What is to be gained by playing Chahal when he's 32? I don't understand. What is to be gained by playing Mukesh Kumar when he's 29, 30 on paper? It just doesn't make sense. Gone are the days when you can have 4 specialist bowlers in a T20 squad and have serious ambitions of winning titles. Wrong thinking, to my mind.
Look.
Yes.
Yeah. So the thing is, if you consider this playing 11 with next year's T20 World Cup, you are going to see Ravindra Jadeja and Shardul Thakur in all probability. Potentially, you are also going to see Washington Sundar if somehow he can manage to stay fit after the IPL. So these 3 guys are not there. Sundar obviously is not there right now, and Jadeja and Shardul Thakur have been rested. Yesterday, the only batsman that did not play was Yashasvi Jaiswal. There is no other batsman, which is why, forget the next year's T20 World Cup, I'm actually kind of concerned whether India can actually win this series, because throughout this series, unless and until they drop 1 bowler, and play Yashasvi Jaiswal as well, their batting will finish at number 7 throughout this T20 series.
Yeah.
So in a way, in terms of bowling at least, with Chahal, Akshar, Kuldeep Yadav, with the pacers there, Umran Malik and Avesh Khan waiting in the wings, it kinds of become an experimentation for next year's T20 World Cup. But we'll probably see more batsmen playing next year, not this year. So India will probably not win this series given their batting stops at 7. But we will definitely see more all-rounders next year, hopefully, in the T20 World Cup.
Okay, then let's move on. This is for all the Royal Challengers Bangalore fans. Former England coach Andy Flower, he has been named as the new head coach of Royal Challengers Bangalore following the IPL franchise's decision not to renew the contracts of Mike Hesson and Sanjay Bangar. Flower, who guided England to Ashes success in 2010, 2011 and the T20 World Cup in 2010, has been associated with several T20 franchises across the globe and was most recently in charge of Lucknow Super Giants in the IPL, with the team making the playoffs in both seasons. The ex-Zimbabwe batsman's challenge now is to lead a franchise that has never won the IPL trophy till now, and one that has often been dogged by poor bowling and batting decisions. Under New Zealander Hesson and former India all-rounder Bangar, RCB made the IPL playoffs for 3 years in a row, and this year they failed to do so after some good performances which prompted the management to rope in Flower. They are trying everything, gentlemen. They are trying everything. They are tired. Last year's campaign was Isala Cup Namde. People made fun of it. There were memes that were created. RCB fans did not know what to do, but here we are. They're trying everything. Jamie, though, the pedigree, he's got the pedigree, plenty of international and franchise experience. It's a good choice for RCB.
Just before I give my answer, you've got the two best people here to discuss RCB. I know you're starting with me, but please let Chetan answer this question as well. Give him the same opportunity. You mentioned that whole series of memes. I think I made up one. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. But I changed it to Isala Cup ko ka naam debe, because it works around the same thing, right? It does not matter who these guys get. Something in the water in Bangalore does not suit this. And look, okay, I mean, just getting serious, yes. Andy Flower comes with 12 years of coaching in the ECB setup, won Ashes, won the first global title any England team ever won was 2010. Andy Flower was at the helm, right? Now, since he's moved on from 2018-19, I believe he moved on from England, he's become a top name on the global T20 franchise. So from that aspect, absolutely. If you want to go back, even for Zimbabwe, you think of Zimbabwe cricket and the name Andy Flower stands tall because of what he achieved. But he's coming to a place which just seems cursed. If I can give the baseball analogy, the Boston Red Sox were cursed for 80 odd years. Finally, they won, and not without coincidence, they won the World Series in the year that I moved to that town for 2 years, just to add. Then the Chicago White Sox didn't win it for 100 years. RCB have only been around for 16 years, but it seems like they've also got some kind of jinx. And it goes back to, and I'm sure Chetan is going to back me up 100% on this, it goes back to on-field calls or toss calls and dressing room calls, but also auction calls, right? Virat Kohli was the captain for 10 years. You're telling me Virat Kohli did not have a say in whatever paddles were raised and picked? Absolutely. Why have they always got muddled bowling selection? Why have they gone after some strange overseas bowlers? And why have they picked some really poor batsmen? Kedar Jadhav was yanked out of the Jio Cinema Marathi commentary box this year because they didn't have a batsman. You're telling me? I wish Andy Flower and whoever he brings in all the best luck. I have no faith. Over to my good friend Chetan.
But this is true, Chetan, that it's the auction where they failed, and it's also this constant dependence on their top three, or at least their two international players and one Virat Kohli. Be it AB de Villiers, Chris Gayle, Maxwell, Faf du Plessis, Indian players, Indian batters, especially. I mean, who were the batters last time around? I'm just thinking about it. There was Maipal Lomror, there was Suyash Prabhu Desai. I mean, there's nobody else who did any scoring other than Virat Kohli, Faf du Plessis and Glenn Maxwell, which was their biggest problem last year. And of course, this has been a problem for some time. So it's not just what they do on the field, but in the during the auction as well, where they've mostly gone wrong.
Oh, they do go wrong during the auction, and the problem there is, Andy Flower. You can bring Andy Flower, you can bring Ricky Ponting, you can bring Kumar Sangakkara, you can bring all of them together. I mean, are you telling me Mike Hesson and Sanjay Bangar are not good enough? They are two of the sharpest brains in cricket I have ever spoken to. Mike Hesson, oh my God, he is, for somebody who's not played too much cricket and who has more coaching stripes than, playing stripes, oh my God. Sanjay Bangar, the kind of credit he has in terms of raising India's batting levels, and he has a very, very sharp brain as well. So are you telling me those two guys were not good enough? And you're bringing Andy Flower? Andy Flower is magnificent, there's no doubt about that. But the point is, how much power and control do they have in exerting in terms of team selection, in terms of building a squad, in terms of putting their foot down and saying, listen, I don't want to be dependent just on Faf, Glenn Maxwell and Virat.
Yeah.
I want an army of Indian names scoring runs and taking wickets for me. Because you look at CSK, you look at Mumbai Indians, they don't win IPL trophies because they are dependent on a Glenn Maxwell or an AB de Villiers, on a Virat Kohli, on a Chris Gayle. No, they have an array of Tilak Varmas and Ishan Kishans and young Indian batsmen. I mean, look at CSK, Ruturaj Gaikwad. These are young Indian names. The last non-Virat Kohli Indian name to score more than 400 runs was KL Rahul, and he left in 2016. It's been 7 years since. Has any Indian batsman has scored more than 400 runs for RCB in the last 7 years, apart from Virat Kohli? No. There's your answer. So it's a multiple, it's a multiple level thing. 45 minutes is too short a time to tell what is wrong with RCB.
The fact, here's the thing.
It might take longer than 80 years the way they are going.
The fact that there was Gary Kirsten and there was Ashish Nehra, who were part of Royal Challengers Bangalore, and look what they're doing with Gujarat Titans. Gives you an idea of all that is wrong with the RCB setup. But we're completely out of time, gentlemen. Thank you so much, Chetan Narula, for joining us, Jamie Alter for joining us here. We're going to wrap this show up. But here's a question for you. What were you doing with your life at 17? I can tell you I was doing absolutely nothing of substance. But Grandmaster D. Gukesh, who's now become India's top chess player, beating live ratings record held by Vishwanathan Anand for 36 years. That's right. He's 17, all of 17. This comes after Gukesh qualified for the third round of the FIDE Chess World Cup, a major single elimination tournament being held in Baku, Azerbaijan. And Gukesh then beat Misradin Iskandarov to secure a live ranking of 2,755.9 points, narrowly beating Anand's 2,754. Anand, who first made it to the world's top 10 in July 1991, has remained India's top-ranked player in all published lists since January 1987. In fact, this is the second time in live ratings that Anand is seen behind a compatriot. On March 16, 2016, Anand temporarily trailed P. Harikrishna. Gukesh, he's a Chennai boy. He was the second youngest player to become a grandmaster in 2019. In July this year, the 17-year-old had edged past another former world champion Magnus Carlsen to become the youngest chess player to cross 2750 ratings mark. He's also beaten the world number one on the board, becoming the youngest player to do so. And what now many are saying is just how quickly he has risen up the rankings, how he has outpaced some of the other opponents, his compatriots. That's what makes him so very special. So these are exciting times ahead for Indian chess, for D. Gukesh, and we wish him all the very best and we congratulate him. Now this is what, before we wrap this up, this is what Vishwanathan Anand had to say about his protege. Let's put that up. He has been training in Vishwanathan Anand's academy. He says, over the last year and a half, Gukesh has convinced not only me, but also many people of his talent. His dedication for chess is something that borders on fanaticism. He likes to work and study the game a lot. He just brings a great attitude to the game. I was convinced he has the potential, but now I'm seeing more and more in him the components he will need to stay at the top: attitude, determination, willingness to experiment and take risks. He is very courageous. So that is Vishwanathan Anand, who has praised his protege. And earlier he was asked this, that how does he feel about it, somebody overtaking him, and he says it's going to be a weird, funny feeling. Now this is what FIDE has written about Gukesh. They've written Gukesh D won again today and has overcome Vishwanathan Anand in live ratings. There's still almost a month till next official FIDE rating lists on September 1st, but it's highly likely that the 17-year-old will be making it to the top 10 in the world as the highest rated Indian player. And what will happen now is that his ratings is only going to increase because he's constantly playing and he's been doing so well. So what we're seeing is something that's huge, something that's historic. I'd like to end it on this. That's it from us. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं क्योंकि सभी लोग कर रहे हैं.
Coaching is now starting from grade 3, 4, 5, 6.
कोटा जाने वाली बीच राह में आधे टेस्ट देके हैं सिलेक्शन की चाह में.
ऑल इंडिया का बच्चा कोटा जाता है.
This rat race is for rats, not for humans. So why should we even be a part of it?
The Rat Race. This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
We have promised that we will decarbonize our economy.
India will be leading this whole green hydrogen race.
I still believe that Indian road transportation, commercial, which governs your entire consumer price, can be run cheaper on green hydrogen versus fossil fuel as on date.
Green hydrogen is it's going to be a very major game changer. And in India, the kind of concerted effort that is being made to promote green hydrogen, you will see results very soon.
क्लाइमेट के क्षेत्र में क्वांटम जंप देने वाला है, वो है ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन का क्षेत्र. नेशनल हाइड्रोजन मिशन की घोषणा कर रहा हूं.
Hydrogen is a very energy dense fuel. It is also very light. It is a very green fuel for the simple reason the end product is water. It can be a game changer as India and the world try to mitigate the effects of climate change and global warming. There are many shades and flavors of hydrogen. If hydrogen is produced using renewable energy, then it is called green hydrogen.
Green hydrogen will help cut transportation costs, fuel and consumer goods prices.
One of the first things that you can affect with green hydrogen in India is your commercial transportation. I am of the opinion, and given the global disruptions of supply chains, etc., I still believe that Indian road transportation, commercial, which governs your entire consumer price, can be run cheaper on green hydrogen versus fossil fuel as on date.
Even you could say even aviation is another area, and international marine transport is another area.
Green hydrogen will also help cut fuel costs for your car.
That is an advancement in the vehicle technology, fuel cell based electric propulsion. Indian Oil is also working on this aspect of the hydrogen economy, closely with automobile sector.
First steps of a hydrogen economy for India have been set. There is a policy in place, but it's still going to take some time for the vehicles and the whole ecosystem around hydrogen to be developed. If all goes well, in the coming decade, we may see more hydrogen-powered vehicles on the road.
For overall pan-India scaling up, cost of green hydrogen will need to decrease. And we will also need sufficient number of charging stations.
Today, the cost of hydrogen is much higher. It's maybe green hydrogen is $6-7 per kilogram of hydrogen. But many people assume Reliance, for example, as a target of bringing down the cost to less than $1 per kilogram in 10 years, in a decade. But there are still some other sectors which we call hard to abate sectors, where reducing emissions from these sectors is very difficult. And these are, for example, steel. Steel uses up among 50-60 million tons of coking coal, out of which large part is imported by India. And it is possible to replace this coking coal through hydrogen by slightly changing the technology.
What you have to see is that these are new technologies like electric vehicle. But as you know that it is growing very fast, and now the charging stations are available almost like 3 times what it was available 1 year back or 2 years back. But look at the complete life cycle thing. So once you analyze that, then you will realize that the initial cost is really not that high, but something which is completely ignored